intro yourself.
Hello, everyone. This is Dean Tribble. I am CEO of Agoric, and I am sharing the first slide with the lovely graphics from the Cosmos group. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for listening to me, both here and in the future on the internet. So before we get started, right now you can ask questions. The best way to do that is in the Ask a Question button. Obviously, you can do anything you want in chat, but it won't get lost if you do it in the Ask a Questions button. And if you're on the internet later, please join Discord and ask us questions there. So Agoric was founded in 2018, and we had a set of challenges that we talked about at the first Interchain conversations in 2018. There were a lot about bringing worldwide markets online, the whole vibrant world economy, by improving smart contracts and making them available, easily programmable to vast majority of the world's developers. And that was ambitious, but we've been working in this space for a long time, and ambitious is doable as far as we're concerned. Of course, we knew it was a lot of work when we started, and by 2019, oh my God, is it a lot of work, right? But in the process, we worked with the other folks on IBC, and IBC is now hitting the streets. We've got SES, the secure JavaScript that is in everything from Salesforce to MetaMask to obviously Archain and other things going forward. And so we've been building a lot of technology, and it's starting to come together along with today's the 2020s world of all those pieces really line up to help target accelerating DeFi. And so that's what I'm here to talk about, and how our chain is designed for that, and really has features directly supportive and integrating DeFi. But there were these challenges that we saw in 2018. Many of them are still not addressed, and they certainly aren't all addressed in the same place. And they are critical for DeFi. So what's the first one? This is the one that is most familiar. Poor performance. Now that one's an easy one at this conference. We are building a Tendermint-based virtual machine chain, using Cosmos SDK, and we know that answer, right? Now there are other performance things around. Once you've got the execution of multiple smart contracts, how do you schedule activities? How do you prioritize and that sort of thing? We'll say a little bit more about them later when we go into more detail of what we're building here. Second one is poor staking leverage. A few people have talked already at this conference about how proof of stake has economic pressure for centralization, right? And we know, or we believe, that that's addressed by staking derivatives. But once you have staking derivatives, what can you do with them, right? If they were just on the hub, great, I've got a staking derivative. What do? You've got to have a place to trade it. You've got to have a place. Also, that's just the start, right? That's the base of getting a future revenue stream associated with your asset. But what else can you do with that? Where do you sell it? Can you build secondary derivatives on it? That sort of thing. What you need is that mechanism embedded in an extensible economy, right? So what we're building is not just a chain, but is a platform that has an extensible economy, where an economy is a place where multiple businesses, multiple activities, multiple interests can cooperate and interoperate with each other, and especially with a consistent notion of prices and the process of exchange, so that they can actually do business, and so that someone coming to the economy, seeing multiple businesses, can compare them, can interact with them, can compose transactions across them. And then the final challenge, you've all encountered that. I've seen that face in the mirror. I've seen that face on my developers, right? And some of this comes from existing systems that have deep security hazards that are simply not surmountable, where right now there are 10,000 developers across the entire crypto ecosystem. A quarter of those are in ETH. This was out of Electric Capital just a few days ago, was their analysis of really active developers. And there are 10 million, 20 million, 18 million, depends who you believe, but millions and millions of developers that are necessary to bring the rest of the economy online. And the only way they're going to succeed is if there's a system that makes it easy for them to build it, that makes it safe for them to build it, that they can rapidly put together pieces, and that they can build them out of pieces of other that other developers produced. Right? What we consider composability is not those first steps that we're seeing where a user can have a contract, can have a transaction that hits multiple contracts, but it's the composability you see in React or in NPM, where a new user now can build much richer systems than an expert could 10 years ago, because they're taking components and putting them together into a richer application. And so our system is designed for that. And so the solution there is JavaScript to address millions of developers, and DeFi Legos built with a smart contract framework like React, or Vue is a user interface framework. We have a framework for putting these together. But those are the tools. We still need, as I said, the place to go put those. So the Agoric Economy, and this is the first time we're really talking about it, even at introducing it in public. So the Agoric Economy is a place where smart contracts and dApps can be deployed with economic environment around them, market institutions around them, right? So multiple businesses can interoperate, and they're tied together by having a medium of exchange. And so with apologies to the Unified DAO crowd and Tariq and Jack, of course, for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to refer to that as the medium of exchange as Mo. And Tariq has been daring me to say Mo. No, wait. Okay. And so the consumer economy is where users go to participate. It's where contracts that users have permissionlessly deployed work together and provide services to users. And inside of that are a bunch of market institutions, right? If you look at our economy, I do business with a lot of people, and there's a bank involved, there's currency involved, there's things involved in my doing a transaction that I mostly don't think about any more than I think about the cost of gas when I buy an Uber ride. It's just part of the infrastructure, part of my cost of doing business. I just do it. And it's part of the services that enable me to function in an economy and function interoperating with other people, right? So these services are a treasury for a stable coin, an AMM for trading. Those cooperate together, as I'll say a little later. There will be additional ones that we provide, and then it will be an environment in which lots of other people can provide those services. But the key thing about that medium of exchange is it's our implementation there, we'll talk a little bit about it, but it's a typical stablecoin kind of implementation. But the focus is not, oh, here's a big money. The focus is greasing the wheels of commerce, the wheels of exchange within this market, right? Within this economy that we have here. And I'll talk about all of the other pieces as we go forward. Oh, I can't see my slide here. Yes. So we talked about the consumer economy. That's at the top. And at the bottom is, of course, the capital economy, where at the bottom, where stakers and validators all work together to both empower the system, secure it economically, and get incentivized to make sure it stays secure and that contracts can execute over time. Okay. And it might make sense to make me small and the slides large. I'm not sure whether that's what they look like right now to everyone there, but if that's possible. Okay. So, all right, so let's dig in a little bit to the treasury piece. We call it the treasury. That's where that's where the local currency comes from, right? The crucial thing is, as I said, it's for greasing the wheels of economic progress locally. It's got a familiar mechanism focused on providing a local currency. All righty, thank you, Jacob. And the collateral for it comes over the Cosmos world, comes over IBC from other chains. You heard about Peggy. There's multiple bridges from ETH. One of the exciting things about the Cosmos ecosystem, about the whole Interchain vision, is we are not launching in a vacuum, which is ironic given the space metaphor, but we are not launching in a vacuum. We launch connected to all of these other assets and all of these other pools of liquidity bridged over IBC. So collateral comes into the treasury. You get the local currency mode, just like if you travel to Europe, convert to the local currency, spend it in the local markets. It might be that the collateral you brought over is a stable coin, and that means the rates are very small. But greasing the wheels of commerce is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to do business when you're not figuring out which of 20 different currencies you're going to use that are all kind of the same, right? You need a local one that you're going to do the local transactions in. Now, there's some unique things about this the Treasury Vault structure. The Agoric system has active smart contracts all integrated together, right? And one of the things that lets us do is it lets contracts wake up as a result of time passing, oracles chirping, or block height, what have you. In this case, the Treasury can proactively notice that the price is transitioned and it needs to liquidate vaults, and then actively liquidate in the local markets, right? And so these are two contracts that work together where liquidation can liquidate in the local AMM that is part of the market infrastructure there and is, extensible in various ways, but permissionlessly by other parties. But fundamentally, the life starts out where there's these two mechanisms that work well together to produce an active stabilizing force on the local currency. But what's importantly different about this mechanism, about the Treasury, in addition to being, designed and focused on greasing the wheels of interactivity inside of this economy, is that it is intrinsic to the chain, right? There's several special things that happen when it is intrinsic to the chain. The first is that, well, we'll talk some about it, the fees from it go to rewarding the validators and the stakers and the infrastructure. It can be in bed with the AMM, whose fees similarly go to help support execution and running in the infrastructure. It can potentially be in a privileged position to execute, to make sure that you get stabilizing transactions, even when the market is way too busy to get everything done, right? And the liquidation factors, right? When positions are liquidated, sometimes they're liquidated where the assets fell in value so fast. This doesn't happen often, and it really sucks when it does, but it fell so fast that the loans are in default. Or they didn't have enough collateralization, so it fell and the loans are in default. Well, there are multiple mechanisms of covering that default here, like, of course, over collateralization, investors directly in the Treasury implementation. But because it's integral to the system, the last bastion of that is mint new staking tokens and sell them on the market, right? And again, it can do that automatically because the markets are local, the markets are active, and the markets can have trading agents already participating. Right? And that's really novel. The other thing is, now we go back to that old IBC thing. This provides, in order to seed this market. Oh, I should be clicking through. I've got bullets for this sort of thing. In order to seed this market, the collateral comes over IBC, and we will be providing liquidity incentives. So this is really liquidity mining over IBC to connect it to DeFi pools on other chains. Okay. So those are sort of key elements of ways in which it's different and ways in which it's crucial, right? Where crucial to the environment. And so here if we go. Sorry, I've got two windows that have elements, so it takes a moment here. Okay, so let's talk about the execution machine, because this is another way in which the local currency is intrinsic. The execution machine, what is gas? Well, as I said earlier, if I take an Uber ride, I don't think about the price of gas. I'm just paying for a service, right? But when we were designing the system, well, if gas is, if the payment for execution is an appreciating asset, then you've got all sorts of conflicts where I want to speculate. I've got speculators that are driving the price up. I've got people interested in having the price go down. I've got, if I store it into an application so that it can pay for something in a month, well, now the price has gone up and I was wasting the investment effort and so forth. Appreciating assets, it turns out, aren't great for paying for gas. Depreciating assets are worse, because if I want a long-lived contract, and one of the things right now is we're very focused on short-lived contracts, but a big chunk of real economies are long-lived contracts, mortgages, insurance, subscriptions, etc. If I want one of those and I have a depreciating asset that goes down or decays, suddenly I can't launch a contract that's going to wake up every month, which you can do in our system, and pay for the next month's worth of mortgage or what have you, right? And so it turns out, since we already need a local currency to be able to easily price things and use as an easy medium of exchange, and contracts already have that, paying for execution in that turns out to be ideal for from an execution point of view. And that also, lowers the price and reduces a bunch of elements of volatility, and that's actually important for enabling businesses that either have long-term contracts or can't handle the level of speculative volatility that they have in the underlying system, because they're just focusing on large volume, narrower margins, or things like that. So there's a lot of people that actually would benefit from this mechanism, and so we're really looking forward to rolling that out. And one of the key things that does, or the key other elements of this execution thing, is those fees paid in Mo, they don't go to the validators, right? They're not something that the validators do, because that would incentivize validators, the miners, to game the gas price, right? I make more money if I drive the price up, right? If the price of execution up. That's not good for us. Our goal, like postage, it's an important price in the world economy, but it's not the central thing. Right? Every business needs it, but it's not the core of their business. It's a line item in the budget, and I'm kind of done. I'm focusing on my customers. Thank you. Right? And so for us, it's the same thing. The cost of execution, the cost of postage, is not what this business is about. It's not what supports the economy. What we want is an economy that's tied to the value of the economic activity. And I'll get to how that happens later. But the key thing is the money that goes into the execution machine that is paying for priority, is paying for execution. It goes into a stability pool and contributes to stabilizing the currency, right? And so again, intrinsic DeFi all the way through gives us these places where we can take advantage of these mechanisms that people have done over the last couple of years. Now, I was going to say something about that bidding for priority. Is the other thing just to mention, right? I said we've been working on these kinds of things for a long time. The original Agoric Open Systems papers were written by Mark Miller, our chief scientist, back in 1988. They had an algorithm called the escalator algorithm, which is a deterministic algorithm for doing prioritized fair share scheduling that has been, there's been inspiration to algorithms that show up in VMware and things like that, and was actually on the table for improving Ethereum scheduling. But it's the nice thing about being deterministic, it means that validators can run it independently. And so we end up being able to have interesting kinds of scheduling across multiple different applications and businesses working together with reasonable predictability from a business point of view. So we're very happy with that. Okay. Oh, and of course, yes, deterministic auction, paid in Mo, and execution fees to the stability coin, right? Okay. So let's talk about the staking and reward structure, right? I mentioned that the fees from execution go into the stability pool. How does it work for how does a big question is, how does value accrue to the token holders? That's not a matter. Yes, it's a matter of being important to investors. Yes, it's a matter of being valuable to the validators and stakers. But it's crucial for proof of stake security, right? If you've got the value of your economy going up and up and up, and your value of your token is not going up, now you're losing the economic security that proof of stake relies on, right? And so it is crucial in order to provide a safe environment for rapid development and deployment and execution of smart contracts in a stable economy, is you got to have the economy be stable, and the security has to be there from a staking point of view. So the rewards come from minting fees, from the seigniorage, right? From minting fees and the loan fees of getting Mo out of that treasury, and come from the trading fees of the AMM. And as other market institutions are deployed, like registering names or those kinds of things, those may also contribute fees into the reward pool. It flows out to the validators and stakers based on the typical Tendermint Cosmos apportioning of rewards, right? So staking is as you would expect. You can stake things. Yes, it's epoch-like, and the rewards for producing and validating blocks correspond proportionally to the stake against them. Validators get a commission, those kinds of things. But the rewards fundamentally are coming from the treasury fees and the AMM fees. During Bootstrap, when we are just bringing up the network, and there isn't, and of course there will be immediate economy as people rush in to get liquidity rewards, but nonetheless, during Bootstrap, that reward pool will get staking tokens contributed to it, again, to incentivize the early adoption, to incentivize the early escalation, and to reward all of you out there that are going to help us make this stuff happen. Right? Okay. Now, the last, so the crucial thing about that is that means the reward, the basic reward here, does not scale with the amount of party invites or message invocations or whatever that happens on the execution machine. That's important. It's important value. It is real, mo that's being spent there. But instead, it scales with the amount of mo floating around in that economy up there. The amount of mo floating around in the consumer economy for people to be, doing mortgages, doing insurance, doing DeFi, trading, escalating. We've got call spreads. There'll be markets for trading, all those kinds of things, right? The economic activity associated with that, the mo associated with that, that's what drives the reward. And that's so the collateralization is sort of the exciting part, and that's of course what we will reward, is bringing that money in so it can be put to use, actually engaging in commerce with other people in the system. Okay, so that was kind of the wrap up. Our goal is, that puts all the pieces together at a very high level for our 2021 launch. We completed alpha of the whole contract thing. We're building all of these economic pieces inside of our very own framework. So the key thing is all of those elements you saw here. I'll hop back to them. All those elements you saw, right? The Treasury is a smart contract written using our framework that you can lift pieces of. You can instantiate. You can do it differently. You can pull the loan contract out, use it for different purposes. The AMM has sub curves. You can use those for other purposes or add new kinds of curves to be able to plug into an AMM. All of the pieces are things that developers will be able to build. So we end up with really the goal. This platform is a public chain that provides the place for the rapid building and deployment of next-gen DeFi. It provides the libraries, the components, and the market institutions so that the next generation of developers that we can pull in from this much broader audience of millions of JavaScript developers have a place to deploy their stuff and have it be successful and integrate with the rest of this broad and exciting community. So thank you very much for listening. Please, if you're a validator, go to agoric.com testnet and start connecting with us on validation. If you're a developer, go there and follow the links to start being able to build using these toolkits, provide feedback, work with us on exactly what the governance on pieces should be deployed as, and in general, get involved. I look forward to talking to you all. Thank you. And I have a few minutes for questions. I see one now. Are you incentivizing dApps to run on your platform? Thank you, Jacob. Absolutely. The three key areas of incentive are liquidity into the Treasury, and further into the economy, validation, of course, and early market institutions and applications to run on our platform. Now, we will be doing that. The incentive program does not exist. We will be working towards the demo day that many of us in the Unified DAO and across Cosmos DeFi are setting up for. And we will have much more specific answers for you on how that will work in the beginning of the year 2021. But absolutely, go to the testnet link, follow the developer thing, and connect with us and tell us what you want to do. Any other questions? Did I miss? Did I miss any? Can you have me as a life coach? Oh, you don't want me as a life coach. All right. Well, thank you all so much for your time. Everything, or almost everything, is up on GitHub. Follow the testnet link and come talk to us and get involved. Join Discord, and I'll see you there. Oh, wait, we have more questions. All right. Who was the first AMM? Someone probably has that answer. Certainly Uniswap. We call ours AutoSwap, but yes, I'm looking at the questions. Is there a governance structure in place at the Treasury level? There will be a governance structure in place at the Treasury level. There is not yet. Well, again, back to one of the key elements here, that Treasury is in large measure governed by the chain. So it's not a bolt-on, right? It's really integral, and so that means the liquidity rewards for new contracts, the liquidity rewards for bringing assets over is staking token in the actual exchange, right? You're helping get the economy started. You should have a piece of it. Yeah, I was thinking Bancor, but for the first AMM, but there have been so many exciting ones that which ones do we care about the most, right? Let's see if we've got another question here. Well, I talked too fast because I thought James was gonna talk the whole, was gonna overrun. But he wrapped up nicely, so thank you.
All right, awesome. This was really great. So we're going to wrap up now and transition to the next talk.
Thank you very much.